This is my Lady Owl build. Number 1 motor, you can see, is on the lower right. Number 2 motor, number 3. I added a lot of connectors. This is a kit that came with it. Came with everything except for the camera, just about, and the transmitter, which I already had, and the receiver, which I already had. I did get the Typhoon 4-in-1 and the Flip 32 AIO Plus with the OSD, which was part of the kit. But the kit seems to change around, so you need to, I guess, look at your parts. I used this short ribbon cable to connect the flight controller and the speed controllers to the escape. I had to move the wires around on the escape end to match up, the 1 through 4, but it wasn't that much trouble. There isn't a heck of a lot of room there. I actually had to tie it to the side, but the cable was obviously sufficiently long to do this, but not sufficiently long to move it at 90 degrees in any other direction. On the right hand side, I attached the buzzer. On the left hand side, I attached the receiver. In the front, I originally attached the camera to the bottom, but switched it to the top and just zip tied it. So it was actually at a pretty decent angle, facing up, which is the way I wanted it. And it's very well protected. I use a servo connector to the camera, a servo connector to the video transmitter, and a JST to connect the power from the escape to the flight controller, I should say from the flight controller to the ESC, because the power actually all goes to the flight controller. Here's another shot of the cable from the flight controller to the ESC, and you can see the video cable there too also. I did bend the video cable pins. I bent the one set outward and bent the other set inward just so there was more clearance, because there just wasn't enough space to put a removable connector, servo connector. Batteries at 800 milliamp. I also have some 650 milliamp Genzace 3S. Comes with JST. I stuck with JST. I mean, it seems to be fine for the amount of power that this thing is pulling. No big deal. This is my Cleanflight. You can see the UART1 MSP is on, and the UART3, the serial RX, is on. The board sensor alignment I used for pitch 180 degrees and yaw 45. This is with the flight controller upside down and pointing toward motor 3. RX serial is for the receiver mode. This is actually a genuine Spektrum Satillite, and Spektrum 2048 for serial receiver provider. Once again, a genuine Spektrum Satillite that I already had for another build. Channel map TAER1234. I had to adjust the throws on my throttle to make sure they went below 1,000 and above 2,000 to arm and disarm, etc., etc. Because my throttle was so responsive, basically it would take off as soon as I plugged it in. It was hovering at 0 throttle. I ended up changing the throttle mid to 0.25 and the throttle expo to 0.45, and I also added quite a bit of throttle curve and expo on the DX8 transmitter. And this shows the throttle curve I added on the transmitter. Because I was having, especially initially, trouble controlling the Lady Owl, I actually switched the default from acro mode to angle mode. As you can see, I have thrown a 3-position switch on my transmitter. So the first position is angle, second position is angle, third position is acro. The middle position also I just use for angle mode with barometer on, but I haven't really used that much. The only thing I had to set in the PID tuning was I changed the yaw to 1 because it was yawing like a dead elephant. That helped a lot. So those are my settings. I also set up a throttle safety switch, so when it's down, the throttle is 988. When it's up, 1065. It'll actually arm in either one of these, but it won't take off. But here, with the safety switch on, I moved the throttle and it doesn't go anywhere. But I added the throttle curve. When I initially had it, it was 1,000, 1,500, and 2,000. But the thing when takeoff was 0 throttle and zoom to the moon at 20% throttle or 25. It was crazy. So I had to really calm it down a lot. That's my throttle curve. And the throttle is at 0.25. So that's about it really. I actually added a little piece of plastic back here to the back to protect this antenna a little bit, but you also added a lot of zip ties to keep them out of the way of the props, because there's not a heck of a lot of extra room in there. But it flies pretty well now finally. I also set up a switch for the buzzer on my transmitter so I could turn on the buzzer so I could find it easier. So that's pretty cool too, right? But anyway, and as far as these props go, they break really easy. Just make sure you epoxy them together and use 4 screws on each one of them.